Chapter 17. Fallout. How could you argue with Daddy in front of everyone like that? When Will came through the door, she started in. Ashley, he said calmly, don't. He should have stayed at Lindy's, spent the night so he could get his head on straight. It was better than being here. Will, you could have just listened. To what? A bunch of lies? My dad doesn't lie. Will squinted hard at her. After a moment, he slammed the door behind himself. He's trying to bring new businesses into the town. What did I tell you the other day? Everything isn't about money. What's it about, then? Her voice smoothed out, but her anger was still there. The fact that you're a father. I left her for you. For you. And you're still insecure about it? Normally, Will would have watched his words, but right then, he just didn't give a shit. You think I'm insecure over a waitress? A waitress that's the mother of my child? Yeah. Ashley's face twisted. I'm not. I just want to know why you had to point it out to everybody. It had nothing to do with the meeting. You always do this in an argument. You try to deflect. Your father made a deal to allow a motorcycle gang to buy property into this town. A gang that just rode through here, terrifying everyone, including you. He did it behind everyone's back and completely blindsided me. Those are the fucking facts, Ashley. How can you defend him? What do you want me to do? Her face flushed. He's my dad, and he's also my boss. In most ways, he's yours too. Don't be stupid here, Will. You can't win. He listened to her. It never occurred to him, while making his plan, that the benefits of his relationship with Ashley would backfire on him. He didn't know when he was going to be able to shake his anger over all this, but he needed to be able to rely on Ashley. What if I was your husband? He asked, trying not to grit his teeth. Would you have some loyalty to me then? He walked past her through the kitchen to the backyard. Grabbing his phone out of his pocket, he called Henry. Don't move anything. We need to wait to see what's going on next. We're going to keep an eye on our new residents. And they weren't the only ones Will was going to have to keep his eye on. After giving himself a couple of days to cool off, he made his way to Hugh's front door. The older man answered the door with a drink in his hand, probably having just come downstairs from swimming in his money. Afternoon, may I come in? He asked. Will took off his hat, keeping his face neutral after Hugh stepped aside for him to enter. I was expecting you a day ago, Hugh said, taking a sip of his drink. I needed time to process, Will answered truthfully. I suppose things could have been executed a bit more smoothly. They went to his sitting room on the main floor, not his office, which Will would have preferred. This place was decorated for women. He sat on the floral high-backed chair anyway after Hugh rested on the couch. I feel like my hands are tied here, sir. Will decided not to waste time getting to the point. I don't know how I'm supposed to do my job now. I've got the citizens expecting one thing of me and you another. The citizens will be all right. Their feathers are ruffled now, but when they hear what's coming, they won't be worried about bikers. And what exactly is coming? Hugh just smiled in that way that he seemed to enjoy. I think things would work best if we had some open lines of communication here. We both have our own interests, and it seems like moves are being made, and we don't want to accidentally step on one another's toes. William, it's a fact that you don't share everything you're doing with me. I don't know the ins and outs of your department. Normally I'd take big issue with that, but I try to extend trust to you because you're with my daughter. I'd hope you in turn would do the same. That's why your outburst at the town hall was so disappointing. Will sat there as Hugh tried to put this all back on him. The apple really didn't fall far from the tree. Am I supposed to look the other way if these people commit a crime in town? Hugh shook his head. I made a business deal with them for the land. I'd never try to stop you from administering justice. With that being said, it's not in their best interests to cause trouble when they're spending so much to establish legitimate business. And don't you go harassing them either. He wagged a long, crooked finger in his direction. They've given their word to keep to themselves. There's no reason this can't be a peaceful, profitable arrangement. A week later, Noah was giving Deathstalker a tune-up as the guys were taking supplies off a delivery truck. Langley had been eager for the payment. Once the money was exchanged, the warehouse and the property belonged to them. They'd taken no time beginning to set up. Occasionally some people from the town would come by and stare, usually just one or two. But if any of the guys made eye contact, they'd scramble away. Some of them had started taking bets. Once, he'd seen Lindy come by and get gas, but she didn't see him. She was in her diner uniform, her hair in a high ponytail, similar to the first day he'd met her. Fucking Durand. Her son's father? And they'd been together for 5 years? The truth sat like a storm inside him. And even with all that going on, he still wanted her. He still thought about the night in the motel, the way she tasted on their wedding night. He could have just gone to Mr. Sheriff and let him know who his kid's mother was married to. The thought crossed his mind more than once. Too much shit was crossing his mind. Noah had noticed no police had stepped on the property. Outside of a slow drive at different times of the day, they'd been undisturbed. He hadn't forgotten about the crates they'd emptied out of the warehouse. Damn, he wished he could have found out what was inside them. Noah knew Durand was invested in keeping them out for a reason besides protecting the town. Scorp! Tin's voice rang out over the noise. Noah pulled his single earbud out to see Tin waving at him from his makeshift office door. Sit down, he said after Noah followed him inside. The temporary office was a large portable tool shed. His desk had papers and blueprints neatly piled on top. A black bench was on one side instead of a chair. Noah sat down. Tin glanced out of the small window before joining him on the bench. You like the heat out here? It's different, huh? Noah smirked a bit, knowing that wasn't why Tin called him in here. How long do you think it's going to take to get established out here? Tin rested his back against the wall. You ready to get back on the road, Nomad? I'm here if you need me. That's always good to know, but that's not what I asked. I'm always ready for the road. What's going on with you and that wife of yours that you're hiding? Tin folded his arms loosely. You've been quieter than usual and a little antsy. Trouble in fake paradise? Noah let out a breath. Tin grunted. Figured. Did you have your immigration meeting yet? No, it's tomorrow. Well, y'all better be professional and loving. I'm sure Greece would love to have you, but we're selfish around here. Noah felt his mouth twitch. You know, we need to keep an eye on that sheriff. I know you've been seeing their little drive-bys. Noah nodded. And that's not our only problem. Whisper let me in on some Aztecs in the area. Noah shook his head. How close? Vegas was where they were last spotted. You think they know we're out here? Amber Falls isn't on the map, but we made the supply run. Birds like to chirp. You think they're still pissed about the shipment? You know those Grammy fucks hold the grudge like a meat bone. Shit. He didn't like the sound of any of this. Even besides that, something's going on in this town. I don't know if these cops are smuggling their own shit or what. Well, since we have the warehouse now, they had to find a new place to put it. Noah wished he had gotten there a few minutes earlier that night. It pissed him off that Durand had something else over him. You been sleeping? You got bags under your eyes. I'm okay, Tin. Does that bike even need a tune-up? Noah didn't answer. Tin sighed, long and heavy, and let silence sit between them for a bit. I'm 51. I've seen a lot of shit. Even before I was in an MC. Back on the reservation, my father beat my mom every day. I got in the death skulls looking for a way out. Some of the guys were good, some bad. I've lost a lot of brothers. Buried a lot. It stays with you if you don't let it go. It was your chapter and you feel responsible, but you're not. It was an accident. Not really. Noah really didn't want to hear any of this. He stood up. I got a lot of shit going on right now. Yeah, and that's life. A lot of shit is always going to go on. Some folks are nomads because they love the road. You're a nomad because you're running from the past, but it still haunts you every day. Noah licked his lower lip. I need to help Chaos with the truck. He brought the cars in. Tin gestured to the door, and Noah moved toward it. Your healing will come when you're ready to accept it. Once he was outside again, Noah took in a deep breath, rubbing his sweaty hands on his legs. Thankfully, everyone was so busy they didn't notice him. Lindy was cleaning up the diner. It took her longer than usual because her head felt scrambled. Earlier in the day, she'd gone to the immigration office with Noah for his appointment. She'd driven to the office herself with Max in the back seat. He met her there, and they managed to get through the process without screwing anything up. To their interviewer, they were a loving newlywed couple, but in reality, they were two people in a business arrangement. When she arrived back home, Vicky was waiting for her. Peggy was going to be at her shop late, so she offered to watch Max so she could head to work. Lindy was glad for her and assumed she would introduce Max to a whole lot of reggae music throughout the evening. Could she have used Noah's money to relax off her shifts? Sure. She'd even considered it, but pressed on. The money went in her nest egg as a cushion. Her situation hadn't changed. She was alone. Her priority was taking care of her son. Mopping the floor hard, she still couldn't believe Will. Claiming Max because it suited him? A child he hadn't seen born or ever held. The mop hit one of the stools and Lindy stopped, trying to catch her breath. I knew you'd be okay. Vicky's words rang in her ear the morning after her birthday while they were driving home. Scorpio has a lot going on in his head. You can feel it, can't you? Vic, don't start with your hocus-pocus stuff. It's not hocus-pocus, it's real. He's complicated, but he's a good guy. He'll protect you. And Max. Lindy gripped the mop. Protect her? She huffed. He wouldn't even talk to her. Lindy shut off the neon open sign and locked the door to the diner. Her phone rang. It was Vicky. You call me while I'm in a dark parking lot? Thanks. Just wanted to say someone came by looking for you. For me? Just as she spoke, headlights flipped up on a car. It slowed to a stop with the driver's side facing her. The tinted window rolled down and Noah eyed her, not saying anything. Yeah, it was Scorpio. He must have made an impression. Lindy thought the whole stomach fluttering thing would have gone at seeing him after some point, but nope.